guys, welcome back on another Reggie React. This is I answered a CK3 death race against two psychopaths, and they are the Spiffing Brit and Valefisk.
Crusader Kings 3 is a game best enjoyed with your friends, who you don't like very much, because then you won't feel as bad when you spend 4 years seducing their wife, while also fabricating rumors that they're a godless sodomite. Rumors which you will then use to blackmail them into helping you kidnap an innocent child to extort money from the Pope. Some people will say this is an unhealthy way to interact with the world, but I say we're just getting started, because for today's video I will be competing against two of my friends in a race to see which of us can accumulate the most kills within a singular lifetime. Assassination.
Why did I think this was going to be less disturbing than his Total Warhammer 3 videos?
Plots, ritual sacrifice, and cleverly placed car bombs. Whatever we can do to run that number up before our character experiences a dignified ending, such as contracting cholera and shitting himself to death at the ripe old age of 34. Can we carve our names into the history books in human blood, or will we fall victim to a cruel and unusual psychopath? There's only one way to know. But first, I want to thank Paradox for sponsoring this video. Crusader Kings 3 is free to play from May 9th to the 13th, and I highly recommend checking it out using the pinned comment below. Now, let us begin. It is my opinion that you don't become the most prolific serial killer in human history without a bit of theory crafting. So before we start the competition, I'm going to be testing out a few different approaches. I like to call this first strategy, make love, not war, and then kill all of your children. You see, in this game, you can use spy masters to create assassination plots to kill your enemies. However, they're grown men, and for some reason, they don't really trust the look of me. All of this results in a pretty low chance of success. However, I've realized that a much easier target would be children, namely my own children. Normally, you can't do this.
What the fuck is wrong with him? Why did I think this was going to be less disturbing?
But by taking the sadistic trait, you can do pretty much whatever you want. And
I've never taken the sadistic trait in this game, but maybe I should actually utilize it. Not to do what he's doing, though, by the way.
Or yet, engaging in psychopathic behavior actually helps relieve your stress. Simply amazing. So going off this premise, I've created my first character, Emir Roginal. For his stats, I invested heavily in intrigue. I also relocated all the points from his jawline
so he's gonna be sneaky
directly to his mustache. Truly, no one would suspect this man of murdering dozens of children. For personality, sadistic, lustful, and deceitful. This increases my fertility, which will allow me to minimize my refractory period and maximize my child output. I begin the campaign in what would be modern-day Azerbaijan. My next-door neighbor and his infant son absolutely hate me because I practice a different faith. However, that's all part of the plan, because Asherism allows me to have a wife along with 3 concubines, so while Count Simbet is only producing 1 child a year, who will probably die from scarlet fever anyway, I'm 4xing my family lineage through polyamory. So the first move is to marry as many women as possible. I do this without taking into account whether or not we have a good compatibility, so all of my wives hate my guts, because I'm an irritable, sadistic, deviant adulterer with a weed addiction. This results in some intramarital tension, and I have to resort to concocting multi-year-long schemes just to convince them to sleep with me. But it works, and before long, I have my own children.
I mean, sounds like real life too. But I don't know about this strategy if he's going to be deleting his own children. Like, he's got to really have a lot of them that he's like creating too, because if he's ever without like children in this game, like, and then he dies, it's game over. So it's kind of a balance he's really gonna like strike here. Like, he can't go on any hunting trips. He can't get like killed by a boar, because I have done that and it's very easy to get killed by a boar in this game.
Children, it's now time to go get a kill streak. Up to this point, I had assumed that I'd just be able to toss my child in the castle moat and be done with it, but it turns out it's a little more complicated than that. And again, I have to engage in a several-year-long conspiracy just to kill my infant son.
Oh wow, so much work, Reggie.
The worst part is, he survived. I fire my spy master for being outsmarted.
That guy's a Chad. Honestly, he survived.
By a toddler, and I get back to work.
Chad toddler. part right there.
Actually, I start getting a few kills, but with 4 wives, I quickly run into the issue of any married man, which is that I can't kill my children fast enough. This, combined with my insane fertility, results in me quickly becoming outnumbered by a gang of small infants who also hate me. Eventually, the ones that survive my assassination attempts grow up, become my rivals, and challenge me in a duel to the death, at which point I am killed by my own son. This technique yielded a total of 20 kills. It's not bad, but there's too much of a bottleneck with the schemes, so let's try something else. For this next attempt, I'm going to be stepping away from infanticide and leaning into world conquest. To meet this goal, I've created a new character, Reginald. Same mustache as before, but this time I buffed his jawline and cheekbones for added intimidation.
I think this might be like a bit of a self-insert there.
Warfare skill is pretty high, and he's a strong berserk murderer with vengeful and sadistic tendencies. We're starting in Somaliland, sandwiched between Sweden and Denmark, which makes us a Viking of the Asartru faith. This is important because it allows us to declare wars for the sole purpose of gathering ritual sacrifices, which I started doing immediately. But that wasn't enough. I needed to maximize my kill feed, so I sailed over to England, stole a bunch of money from their churches, and then came back and used this money to fund an army large enough to subjugate my neighbors. The kingdom of Somaliland was quickly expanding, and so was my list of military prisoners. Normally, you can use prisoners as strategic bartering chips with other factions. For example, one of my enemies had kidnapped my son and wanted to exchange him for a general that I had taken hostage. In response, I killed the general. Sorry, son, but daddy's gotta get his AC-130. And honestly, I have enough children anyway. In fact, the entirety of Scandinavia is overrun with my freakishly grotesque offspring, and I'm a little nervous after what happened last time. But
he's like the Genghis Khan of Scandinavia.
To my surprise, I was actually pretty well liked, as long as you didn't break the law, because I had adopted a universal policy that anyone who ends up in jail for any reason whatsoever is instantly executed. This inevitably resulted in some tension between myself and the other factions, because I just decapitated your son for the crime of insulting the color of my shoes. The King of Sweden hated me the most, and he would regularly send me passive-aggressive messages. In fact,
yo, thy mother's a whore.
In fact, one time, he offered me a concubine, except upon closer inspection, it was a 50-year-old deceitful dwarf who I am almost certain would attempt to kill me in my sleep. But I was undeterred by the king's poorly feigned generosity, and eventually I grew Somaliland to a mighty empire with more military power than either Denmark or Sweden, with substantial territory in Scandinavia as well as a good chunk of England. Also, I own a part of Estonia, because they raided me once at the start of the game, and I took that really personally. By this point, Reginald had become an old man. His military conquests so great, his devotion to the gods so immense, that he was now being immortalized as a living legend. It was a good life, and now as an old man, I accepted my fate and slipped into Valhalla to be celebrated for killing a total of 50 people. My son took up control of the empire, but I had spent my entire life ignoring my children, so none of them could read or write, and I'm pretty sure they'll get assassinated by that dwarf. But that's not my problem. That last run was an improvement, but I want to try one more tactic before I face off against the others. For this, I'm going to make a character who specializes in...
is this character?
That's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Perfect.
Seducing other men's wives. Then when they find out, they'll challenge me to a duel, and I'll kill them. For this purpose,
this is what I do in Crusader Kings 3, is that I create like a female girl boss that's like lustful, and then try to have her like bang other women's husbands because I love the drama.
Stop it. Get some help.
I have to create the ideal male physique, which no woman could ever hope to resist. Oh yeah, this is perfect. A morbidly obese Asian whose face is barely visible through a vast undergrowth of body hair. You might think this was just for comedic effect, but actually it serves another purpose. Because when my Caucasian neighbor's wife gives birth to a fat Chinese baby, there will be absolutely no ambiguity as to who is responsible. And I'm hoping this will expedite the process of making enemies. So, let us begin. I start the game again in Scandinavia, quickly marrying several women to form strategic alliances with powerful factions. factions. Once the basic infrastructure is set up for the kingdom, I go ahead and start searching for extramarital affairs. That's when I come across Chieftain Hrogir and his wife. She has a positive opinion of me, so I attempt to seduce her, only to realize that the scheme has a 0% success rate. This confused me briefly before I realized I am not attracted to women. Apparently, when I created my character, I left my sexuality on randomize, and this resulted in Reginald, the obese Chinaman, being born as an asexual. This was a soul-crushing revelation, so obviously I aborted the campaign and went back to the character creation menu to fix it. In the words of a wise man, once all these women
On
stopped...
my first ever run of Crusader Kings 3, my, like, girl boss character, like, accidentally I had her marry, like, a gay man, and then I was like, how did I, like, fuck this up so much? So then I had to, like, do this whole, like, scheme to, like, have him, like, killed so that I could marry, like, a straight man. And, like, I have nothing against anyone. Like, don't come after me. This is just what happened in the game, okay?
Thinking I'm gay, they're done for. Now loading in with a heterosexual character, I was ready to unfurl my devious plans. I found a suitable target and began plotting to seduce her. Over the months, my scheme progressed slowly but certainly. In the meantime, I decided I may as well do stuff while I wait, so I declared war on the Slavic kingdom of Slupsk. I loaded Reginald onto a boat and sailed him across the Baltic Sea to invade my enemies. But the very second he set foot on solid land, he immediately collapsed from a heart attack. Yes, indeed, Jarl Reginald of Somaliland had succumbed to cardiac arrest at the ripe old age of 25. Cursed with a disturbed mind, he was known throughout his lands as a raving lunatic for the entire 9 months that he was alive. And with no heir to the throne, this game was over. I could try again, but I took this as a sign from God that I was not meant to be heterosexual. So I decided to just call it there and head into the competition without any further preparation. Let's begin with some introductions. Our first competitor is the Spiffing Brit, who is starting in his real-life hometown of Khazaria. His character, none other than world-renowned cannibal
That's a nice character. I like him.
Timothy Chalamet. Meanwhile, all the way in Ghana, we have Valefisk, who is attempting to channel the spirit of mass casualties by establishing the faction of Los Alamos using Robert Oppenheimer. Finally, I'll be in Sweden using my acromegaly-stricken character Jarl Reginald. You may be wondering what my plan is. Well, with this being one of my first games of CK3, I've opted to just follow my base instincts by making all of the same decisions I would make in real life, in the hope that it would eventually lead
by
to
being like a sadistic murderer. Is that what he's saying?
Serial homicide.
Yeah,
I felt as though my chances were pretty good until I made the mistake of asking the others about their strategies.
My R&D department have run simulations with me on how this will go, and I think this could work.
This guy's got simulations up in this.
It'll work very well.
You see, that's the issue here. I woke up this morning to messages of you guys talking about...
Out of interest, did your R&D team go for cannibalism? No, but it was certainly one of the options. It'll be very multifaceted strategy. You'll see. Oh, they got an R&D team to figure out the best strategy for this game.
Your research and development teams?
Yeah, what?
My research and development team is like me and an editor that lives in Vietnam. So, my plan, I think I'm going to be like the normal guy at the Olympics, just like the average Joe that is like the frame of reference, right? So they bring in the case study.
Okay, that'd be brilliant. I've had this idea for a ridiculously long time. Like I've sat on this idea for probably about half a year. It turns out the easiest way to get other creators to play CK3 with you is just to pay them for it.
What an endorsement of the game in and of itself. It's like the easiest way to get people to play this.
Literally, the only way I could get people to play this game is to pay them for it. Okay.
Which is why the game's now free this weekend. There you go.
Yeah.
Great segue. We did it. Budget
That's a great. I'm happy to hear you've moved on to the stage of your life where you're having to pay people to hang out with you.
Yes.
run out of friends.
And with that, the race was underway. I put myself on the board quickly by subjugating my physically inferior neighbors and executing their upper management.
Oh my goodness, Reggie, you've already killed 3 people. One of whom was pregnant.
Oh my god! But honestly, not surprised.
I
petition for a double kill on that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
This was a good start, but Valefisk already had 5 kills, and it was at this point we noticed he somehow cloned himself, because there was a perfect replica of Robert Oppenheimer ruling over Morocco. A Robert Moroccanheimer, if you will. What's worse, the clone even has a kill. Put him on the scoreboard. The only good news was that Spiff was still at 0, although I did notice something strange about his wife.
Interesting.
Paul,
What's going on
there? I don't
there?
want to insult you. Are you familiar with the political candidate Vermin Supreme?
Who's that?
No.
Vermin Supreme will take away your guns and give you better ones.
Your wife looks like Vermin
Wait,
Supreme.
no way. His wife looks like Vermin Supreme. Are you serious?
Well, because she's got like a boot on her head.
What have you got against my wife? She's a
minute.
beautiful young lady.
Like, I don't have anything.
sorry.
Vermin Supreme is a great guy. Like, you know.
Is he stubborn, temperate, and humble?
Some might say.
Stubborn, definitely.
He's been running for office for the past like 25 years. I think.
What? I've literally just heard of this man.
I think stubborn's definitely, yeah.
Other than dominating my neighbors through special military operations, I've also begun trying to make as many rivals as possible, because then I can challenge them to duels and kill them. I started by sleeping with every married woman in the kingdom. However,
That's
since
a great plan.
I'm
Love
executing
that.
like 12 people a day, everyone is too terrified to even complain, including my wife. So instead, I had to go
Nice.
international with my crimes.
Oh, my wife died. No, she's been murdered.
He's just like, no, that's so horrible.
Hang on a second.
Wait a minute.
I killed about 3 of Spiff's wives, and I believed I was getting away with it until one of my own Jarls found out about the assassinations and tried to blackmail me. I told him I don't negotiate with terrorists and hoped for the best.
Wait, hang a
That's
second.
a speed run.
Reggie, it says you killed my wife.
Well, shit.
Reggie, how could you kill my wife?
For the points, what do you mean? You invited me to this
For the points.
For the points.
For the points. I
On
guess
the
it was
upside,
worth
I got
it.
revenge on this Jarl after my spies found out he was a sodomite, at which point I executed him on the spot. This was considered a justified killing for this time period. Other than that, things were going well. The blood was flowing, and I had an interesting interaction with a saleswoman. She's trying to sell me a worm on a string, but not for fishing. It's for impressing the ladies at the court.
Wait,
This
what?
interaction triggered a Jimmy Neutron brain blast, as I remembered that 11 years
Wait, he did not just. No. He did not just have Jimmy Neutron flying into the.
during a school trip to New York, a fast-talking black lady had scammed me and my friends into buying the exact same thing because she told us that it had AI sensors and a motor inside of it that allowed it to do a bunch of cool tricks, when in actuality it was just a pipe cleaner on fishing line. We lost a lot of money that
Well, that's
day.
what you
While I was
get when
reminiscing
you're
about the
idiot.
the stupidest son of a bitch to ever live,
Yes.
Valefisk ran into some bad luck of his own.
Oh, I just got killed.
You just got killed. What? What? How do you just get
I got
killed?
murdered. Somebody
By
murdered
who?
me.
By
Oh
who?
my
Murdered.
god. Seriously,
Did
you
Reggie
got
do
murdered
it?
straight away.
Yeah, I just got murdered.
You killed 17 people though. That's pretty good.
So he's dead, and it's
one.
only been about 30 minutes. Very unfortunate. But in death, he let out some information about his murder strategies.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know who killed me either.
I mean, do you think it had anything to do with you killing all those people?
Nobody knows I killed those kids.
Yes, indeed. Valefisk was a student of the game because he was killing all of his own children. And not only that, but he was also shaking them down for protection money.
Oh, one of my kids just gave me 15 gold. I'm so much closer to... Don't kill me, Daddy. Here, take my piggy bank.
This is so.
This revelation made me unofficially change his nickname from Robert the Stranger to Robert the Strangler. Anyway, for the sake of the video,
Nice.
and also because I didn't want to be left alone with this man, I decided we should give Vale a second chance and reload the save. So, we reset time by 1 month to give Oppenheimer a chance to find his assassin. And just as I was about to propose the possibility of a Japanese time traveler, it happened again.
What?
Wait,
You've been murdered again.
He's
I got
died
murdered
again?
again, yeah.
Who keeps
Even though-
murdering him?
even though the
oh my
plot-
god, is it the Spiffing Brit that keeps murdering him and getting away with it?
Was exposed and it had a 14% chance of it succeeding.
So, we resurrected Valefisk one final time, and this time he actually caught his assassin.
I also found out the guy who murdered me a couple of times. I think the reason was that I killed his wife and all of his children.
How shocking. Just when I thought Valefisk
Could
was
have something to do
finally
with it.
back on his feet, the Spiffing Brit absolutely nailed him with the most devious trick of all time.
Did you ever see the rare Magic the Gathering card, the Mind Goblin?
The Mind Goblin.
Yeah, Mind Goblin
No.
these nuts.
Mind. Oh,
Start typing it in everything.
Come on. No.
In other news, a random man managed to infiltrate our game.
Wait, hang on a second. We have a problem.
No way are you dead. Did you just die?
No. There's another player in this game.
Wait, who's
Wait, there's another play. Wait, someone else is in the game.
who the f- is in the game?
Nitro Dub 69.
We kicked him, but I decided to keep him on the scoreboard
Naito Bud 69. Nice.
just for fun. After this, I became rather scared, because we've been playing for an hour, and I have 14 kills, Valefisk has 22, but for some reason, Spiff only has 2. Something wasn't right about this.
Been doing good, actually. 22.
Spiff is like playing them a little bit, I guess. He's just like, gonna be like, I'm having such a bad run. And then he's about to like pull some like absolute like bullshit and win, I think.
People killed on your end. That's pretty good.
See, this is him trying to lure us into a
Yes.
false sense of
Yeah,
security.
no, exactly.
Yes, that's
15, but
exactly
worried
what's
about
happening.
Exactly.
Well,
This is-
Vale, how many have you got?
I'm panicking.
33.
33.
And our concerns only grew when Spiff started throwing around phrases like the precipice of greatness and
What
the
the fuck?
final war.
Yes.
What?
Oh, this means I am actually on the precipice of greatness. This war is the final war.
Oh, the final war to what? The final war to what, Spiff?
However, it all made sense about 5 minutes later when we got this notification. Yes, indeed. Timothy Chalamet was now Genghis Khan. I don't know a lot about Genghis Khan, but I'm pretty sure he killed more than 22 people. So I viewed this as a troubling development. The Empire of Sweden had come a long way, but it was still nothing in the face of the Mongol hordes. In fact, we have about 4,000 soldiers on a good day, while Paul Genghis Khan Atreides has over 40,000. And his first order of business was to name a
Not good.
sexually transmitted disease after himself.
Paul's Boils.
What?
That's the name of the plague. Paul's Boils.
Yeah.
But at least Spiff is far enough away that he can't hurt us with his sexual warfare.
Oh my goodness, it takes me 2 days to siege down a castle.
Well, never mind then. Spiff can siege castles in 4 days, which allowed him to expand his borders very aggressively, turning the Mongol Empire into a malevolent octopus with tendrils outstretched towards both Ghana and Sweden.
Oh, shit.
Oh my god. Every 2 seconds I look away and I look back.
Oh, I mean, this isn't even anything, Vale. Like, we can do so much better than this.
Oh, you can?
We're going to start aiming towards, I think, Arabia next.
No, I mean, you don't have to, though. You could,
Listen
You
to
don't
Oppenheimer
have to.
trying to talk
What?
peace. It's not the way.
I'm entering my regret arc.
With Spiff's empire rapidly absorbing dozens of smaller factions each month, he was receiving bulk quantities of prisoners, which after execution allowed him to quickly skyrocket his kills from 2 to 86.
Oh,
Meanwhile, I was at
shit.
39 and Valefisk was
Oh,
at
yeah.
44. I don't know.
I knew
like
he
our
was just gonna like skyrocket to the top of the chart.
chances of catching up. He only has 86 kills. Yeah.
86.
Yeah, if we combine our kills, we're still
Yeah.
not there.
Damn.
Can we do like a
Spiff's
Yu-Gi-Oh
gotcha.
fusion and like become one?
Yeah, we'll do the fusion dance.
And
Oh, God.
Regieheimer?
Regenheim. definitely.
Regenheimer. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I like
Regenheimer.
that.
This was not
I like
good,
that.
so Valefisk and I quickly developed plans to survive the Mongol apocalypse. Vale's plan was quite simple. He was holding 30 of his own children hostage in a Los Alamos black site and execute them if Spiff got too close. But this concept only made Spiff expand even faster.
Oh,
Okay, we're doing Egyptian D-Day currently.
Egyptian D-Day.
what does that mean?
2,000 horse archers just landed.
I'm hovering over it. The moment Spiff approaches, I'm going to execute my kid.
Oh no!
I'm holding my own family hostage at this point.
Meanwhile, my plan for survival was to be assimilated into the Mongol Empire as a vassal. Spiff's only request was that I conquer London on his behalf. However, my geographical knowledge of England is much like my character's prestige level, because they are both non-existent. So I just started stabbing in the dark and hoping I'd get lucky.
How's the invasion of England going? Have you worked out
we've
where
got
London is on the map?
We've got a massive chunk of it.
You've got the tip of East Anglia. You've got Norfolk.
A massive.
Massive chunk. Norfolk has fallen.
He's just got the tip.
England is basically ours.
It's all over. It's all over. for you guys.
Basically.
Honestly, being a Mongol vassal was pretty great. Spiff was ridiculously rich, and every so often he'd send me gifts. These could be anything ranging from a book on financial
Gifts.
advice all the way to a literal pope.
You know what? I'm going to offer you a
Just give
vassal.
someone the Pope. What the fuck?
They are the head of the Coptic religion, but they can be yours now. And
Wait, where did you get the head of the Coptic religion from?
I'm not sure. He's just a
I
vassal
can't
of
get a
mine.
read. I can't get a read on this guy. First he gives me a book, then he gives me a pope. All right, thanks.
Biff's just like getting them in a false sense of security because then he's about to just like decimate him and his entire like army, I think.
Other than that, it was
I
back
mean, that's what I would do.
to business as usual, trying to capture as many prisoners as possible. But I also made sure to find time for recreation. For example, I contracted leprosy. Not to worry though, my wife treated this illness by cutting off my face, which caused me to gain the disfigured trait along with this giant metal face mask. On the
Ooh,
upside,
that's
the
kinda
treatment
cool.
actually worked. Other than that, I hosted a feast, which allows me to pick a guest of honor that is obligated to attend. For this, I chose a Mongolian man who hates me, and since he's
Nice.
6,000 kilometers away, it took him 14 months to travel across all of Europe just to attend my shitty level 1 feast. Oh, and he was also robbed several times on the way here. I was having a
Yes,
terrific time at
that's
this
what
point
happens.
because my empire was a very manageable size. However, Spiff wasn't so lucky because he had to fight 17 wars at the same time while managing the political affairs of millions of people.
There's so many armies running around my land causing chaos.
Oh,
Was
no.
it worth it in the end to have to deal with all of this?
And another one. It was not. I really regret my actions.
We should, Reggie, we should just try and live for as long as possible, because the longer it goes on, the more painful Spiff's fingers get as he
that's-
micros all of the stuff at once.
Paul, why did you have to do
Yeah, now Spiff is like distracted by actually having to like rule over these kingdoms. So now I think is actually the time to like strike him. Maybe.
this? Why did you have to conquer the world? You.
And honestly, I think all the stress started affecting Spiff mentally, because he began giving giant swaths of land to children and random illiterate peasants.
I'm actually not the tribal head, so I'm not in charge of research and development. That actually belongs to a 62-year-old man on the Chinese border currently.
Who doesn't speak any languages that we know of.
He just speaks his own that he came up with, yeah. I'll happily
Instead, I'm
take that
giving
land
it
off your
to a
hand.
56-year-old infirm man. Is getting Aquitaine Vale. I've judged him to be of superior moral fiber.
What was the test you administered to him? Was it like how effectively he could fall down a flight of stairs? Or?
He's got a great bounce to his stride.
Nice.
I'm hearing like the Rocky theme over a montage of him going through like very basic obstacles. Failing every single
through
one,
them.
yeah, and passing the test to the end.
While Spiff's mental deterioration was a welcome development, it had also resulted in some unexpected consequences.
I won't lie, Paul Atreides looks really fucked up now. He's crossed 50 years of age. He looks horrible. He does not look
the
like
smile.
the same.
He's a little creepy, not gonna lie.
Smile is not right.
He looks like he was grown in a vat.
He's gone horribly
Yes.
wrong. Jeez. I'm literally playing the child snatcher right now. Running around like the Bavarian wilderness, capturing.
They tell kids in Germany grew up hearing stories of Paul Atreides, who walks these woods at night.
After executing all of his victims, Spiff was in a very comfortable lead with 166 kills.
Wow, he is like really just like destroying Reggie in this. Sad.
And just when all was looking lost, something truly marvelous happened.
I was murdered by an unknown assailant.
Oh my god, you died!
what?
Paul Atreides is dead.
Oh my god.
chance?
Oh my
Who
god!
did it? Who did it?
Oh my god.
Oh! He died.
Oh my god.
How
he
many
di-
kills? 166 kills.
Oh my god, I can't believe. And he's been replaced by Cogan the Clueless. The Mongol Empire.
Do the Clueless he's a misunderstood little guy, okay?
Spiff's untimely assassination was an exciting development, but perhaps a little too exciting, because at the time of his death, he ruled over almost the entire map. And after he died, none of these people recognized his son, Cogan the Clueless, as their legitimate leader.
Shit.
This inevitably resulted in 10,000 civil wars all starting at the same
Oh my
time and
God.
crashing the game.
This is going to be a big one. The game is lagging as
Oh
I
my
click
God.
rally the
Oh
troops.
my God.
Oh dear.
Oh, the civil wars at once. That is crazy. So like this actually happened to me once too when I had this like Game of Thrones like mod installed, and like literally what happened is that King Robert like got killed, like how it happens in Game of Thrones, and then literally everyone was like at war with each other like at once, and like the notifications on the right were just like zooming by and my game was lagging, and I was like, oh my god, like what is happening when I do?
God.
Oh dear.
Oh, out of sync.
Twice.
Oh my goodness, we might have another desync here. This is... Yep.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
God.
I gotta say, this was like the most effective way to prevent us from getting more kills, Spiff. You're really thinking outside the box. With Spiff dead, he can no longer add kills to his total. He can, however, interfere with our attempts to catch up. Honestly, I was at like 50 kills, so I knew it was going to take a Hail Mary for me to close the gap. So I began planning my first mass casualty event. I'm going to try to host the largest feast possible, and then, because I'm a sadistic lunatic and several of my rivals will be in attendance, I might get an option to burn the entire thing to the ground, killing everyone inside.
Oh my god, he's gonna like red wedding this shit, but like not a wedding, just like a feast. But still, you get what I'm saying.
I'm inviting 138 people. So.
Oh my god, he is a sadistic son of a bitch.
Actually...
If you pull that off, you'll win. 100%.
The key to this working is having as many rivals in attendance as possible. Unfortunately, my main rival was my wife, and she went missing immediately before the feast. This was very confusing.
Wait, what do you mean she went missing? Where'd she go?
But as it turns out, hours of murdering people had subconsciously conditioned me to always select the execute offender option when navigating dialogue menus. So obviously, when I heard about some lady making fun of me in church, I chopped her head off, only to find out later that it was, in fact, my wife.
No. Reggie says you killed her yourself.
Oh, did I?
Executed on your orders, age 43.
Oh my god.
I just have to stop accidentally chopping off my wife's head. That's always been my weakness. This was a setback to be sure, but luckily a lot of people despise me, and I found a new rival immediately. High Chieftain Hoppa hates my guts because I think I killed his wife or something. I don't really care, honestly. Anyway, I invited him to the party and waited patiently. It's going to take him 9 months to arrive, and a lot happened in the meantime. For example, Spiff was now burdened with the task of trying to fight 10,000 civil wars all by himself, and I don't think he's coping with it very well.
Another one gets killed. Oh wait, oh my god, what did you do to your hair? Just saw that up there.
He's just like dyeing his hair out of the stress. I mean, like I relate. I have done that once in my life, not gonna lie.
I'm looking fantastic. Don't hate the king, hate the player.
All right, Grandpa, we'll get you back to bed.
He wants a mighty empire.
Yes, come along.
My daddy Paul built it. I love my daddy.
Other than that, our game was again invaded by a dark spirit. This time, someone named Joe joined, commanding the faction of Walmart.
Joe from Walmart. Okay.
Of Walmart. So obviously, he's going on the board too. Also, my empire was fractured by a group of Neo-Sweden separatists, which formed the sovereign land of Bitan. Very annoying, but at least the feast could finally begin. The festivities were underway, and despite being a vengeful, murderous, sadistic lunatic surrounded by my greatest enemies, my character had a great time and chose not to burn the building to the ground.
Oh. I'm kind of surprised, actually. I did not see that happening.
Wait until you can host your next feast.
5 years.
5 years.
Well, better luck next time.
I tried the whole thing again 5 years later. Same result. This challenge is slipping through my fingers.
Yes.
Not long after this, my character discovered like 12 different plots to kill him, which caused him to have a mental breakdown and cope with the stress by becoming an alcoholic. However, I flew too close to the sun
my
and
God.
literally drank myself to death at the age of 64. By this point, I had only 73 kills, which placed me firmly behind Spiff and Vale, but comfortably ahead of Joe from Walmart, Moroccanheimer, and Nitro Dubs. It's not great, but at least we're on the podium. From here, I started playing as my son. I can't even remember his name because at the funeral for Reginald, my son was assassinated with a venomous
my
snake.
God,
Now I'm playing as
what?
my grandson, who has bioaccumulated many generations of insanity. With so much
Dick.
turmoil in the Empire, I wasn't really sure what to do, so I did the only thing that made sense to me. Killing Spiff's wives.
I've got critical stress because my wife died.
Sorry.
What do you mean, sorry? What did you do to my
Oh,
wife?
no, I didn't do anything.
Unfortunately, my grandson isn't as sadistic as I was, and the more people he killed, the more mental breakdowns he experienced, which eventually led him to making some
Damn.
very questionable
Sad.
decisions. For example, he took his only daughter and sent her on a multi-year-long journey to West Africa so she could be tutored by none other than Robert the Strangler Oppenheimer.
What
Upon
the
arriving, he was immediately imprisoned and killed. This caused my stress levels to skyrocket, and things
Oh my
started going
God.
completely off the rails. I challenged my grandmother
I don't know. I feel like they've went off the rails since the start of this video.
to a debate about fashion, which she lost so badly that she had to burn her clothes. Then, to celebrate my victory,
This game is so funny.
I pulled out my own eyeball and became a flagellant before sprinting into the Swedish countryside and defeating
it's
a
going off the
grizzly bear
rails.
in hand-to-hand combat. Then I became best friends with an illiterate peasant suffering from leprosy. I did this so that I could challenge him to duels to release my anger, and somehow I lost. Following that, I was so dejected that I decided to let two entire cities burn to the ground while I got drunk. That's about it for me. Let's check in with
Now
the
he's just like Aerys Targaryen, I guess.
others. Similarly to my grandson,
Sad.
Spiff was embracing his anti-hero persona, and he's now trying to sabotage Valefisk by assassinating all of his personal physicians. In response, Valefisk declared his secession from the Mongol Empire, and he even managed to convince 23,000 of his West African neighbors to join him.
Okay, so well, that's what happened. I'm
Well,
attacking you now.
It's a tyranny war, and I won't lie, there's quite a lot of people.
Oh, have I got friends for this? Oh my god! Oh my god! It's a horror.
23,000 people versus Kargan do the clueless.
Also, Vale seems to have adopted a new and exciting strategy for killing people. He finds single women in other kingdoms, invites them to marry him, and then once they're in his borders, he executes them. Using this technique, he managed to pass 100 kills, and he was quickly catching up to Spiff. Naturally, Spiff tried to stop him, but Vale's African coalition quickly came to his defense.
But I see an army. I see a Mongolian army on the border.
Here come the Mongolian armies. There are many of us. I will torture you.
Oh, my allies are here. Oh my
Yeah.
god! Oh my god! So many of them are here.
It's literally this is the Avengers Endgame of the Civil War.
Yeah.
Oh, I got my wife again. Execute. Okay.
No, stop it! He's killing his wife.
Eventually, Spiff's forces managed to overwhelm Valefisk, at which point he was captured and imprisoned.
At long last, Robert the Stranger is finally the serial killer. Is behind bars. 114 kills. One of the greatest serial killers of all time.
Whoa.
The world is in a much safer place because of this.
He looks so angry behind bars
He
too.
does look
Absolutely
so angry.
horrible.
He is fuming right
Yeah,
now.
he's-
Oh my god.
He's not well.
A clerical error on Spiff's part resulted in one of history's greatest serial killers, Robert the Strangler Oppenheimer, accidentally getting released from prison by paying a $90 fine.
I can
Wait, what the
Oh, do court?
are you talking about?
What are you trying to do? Do you just get freed from jail?
Yeah.
Oh,
you
balls.
ransomed me.
Wait,
Yeah,
so
I
you
ransomed
me.
everyone other than you because it said you were
95 golds. 95 gold. I'm back in the seat. I'm back in the seat. 500 soldiers.
Damn it!
Oppenheimer was out and back to his evil ways. Spiff did not take this news well.
I'm committing suicide. immediately.
Okay, so Cogandu the Clueless may be dead, but Spiff's physiological need to kill Valefisk has never been more alive. In fact, he renamed his entire empire to Die Oppenheimer. So after gathering himself mentally, he went back to Los Alamos, beat the hell out of Valefisk, and then threw him in jail a second time before promptly beheading him and putting an end to this entire experiment.
Whoa.
So there you have it. Sweden is being ruled by a psychopath. Robert Oppenheimer personally strangled 100 children.
Oh my
and
God.
civilizations across the world are imploding because a British man pretended to be Mongolian. Honestly, I couldn't have imagined this going any better. I want to thank Paradox for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to try CK3 for free this weekend. And if you've made it this far, I've got a little reward for you. Because Paradox has also given me 9 CD keys for Crusader Kings 3 Deluxe, which includes every DLC. I have covertly hidden these keys in various places
that's
throughout
cool.
the video. If you find one, it's all yours. For reference, here's what this might look like. Alright, that's all for this video. Thanks to this month's patrons for supporting the channel, and finally, thank you for watching.
Ooh. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe to help feed the algorithm gods. And thank you so much for everyone who has sent the super thanks recently. That is so awesome. And I'll see you in the next one.